Welcome to Flower of Life podcast. This is Carmen Fernandez, and today we have Jason Sipple to talk about how to become limitless by changing your inner world and your mindset. Yes, Jason is married to his soulmate, Patty, and together they have 2 boys. He's a 5-time Ironman finisher, a recruitment leader, and peak performance coach. Jason is passionate about helping leaders turn overwhelm into clarity and results faster, so that they can have more time, money, and magic. Welcome to Flower of Life podcast, Jason.
Thank you, Carmen. I am very grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored to have you here. And as a coach, you're passionate about self-development and helping people to find their best self. How did you get into coaching, and how coaching has changed your life?
Thank you. That's a great question. That is the $1 million question. I hear that a lot, and so I'm happy you asked. So it's a semi-long story, but I'll try to keep it fairly short. So I've always had coaches, right? Like I've been in triathlon, I had coaches. In other aspects, sports, I've always had coaches. I've always been an athlete. And then when around October of 2019, the project I was working on wasn't going quite as planned. And I've known for the last 5 or 6 years that I wanted something more than what I was doing. And all of a sudden, a gentleman came to present to the office space I was in. And it was about going to Tony Robbins' UPW. And he came from the recruitment industry. He was awesome. He's such a great, energetic guy, coach, leader, and he brought me through the wheel of life with myself and my coworkers and some other people on our floor. And I signed up. I signed up for UPW on the spot. And then he came back one other time, and every time he came, I just kept talking to him and talking to him and talking to him and talking to him. I had so many questions. And finally, he was like, Jason, you want to continue this conversation? I was like, you bet, I really would. And I found myself with a coach. I didn't know there was such a thing, but next thing I knew, I had my own coach. And I started doing some deeper introspection. I went to the Tony Robbins event, walked on fire, came home. My wife and my boys all thought I lost my mind. They're like, why are you priming in the morning and getting up early and doing all this stuff? And like, why do you like electric dance music now? Like, why do you hated it before? Now you like it? Like, who are you? Like, what happened? And so they were all a little freaked out. And then I talked to my wife. I put my I was going for my master's in leadership, my MBA in leadership. And so I put it on pause. I joined the Robbins Medeiros coaching program. And the rest is, well, not history yet, but the rest is becoming history pretty quickly. So.
Oh, that's great. That's very inspiring. And how has changed your life since then?
Everything's changed. Like all my, by what I'm learning in coaching and then implementing on myself. Like I am my first student. And so I implement what I learn. And by doing that, it's changed my inner world, my inner landscape, which has then changed my relationship with my wife. For the better, for the much better, with my boys, with my coworkers, with my friends, with everything. And now life just seems to be falling into place where it's giving me the opportunity, having me step up and really embrace helping others in a big way so I can have a lot of impact. So it's very exciting. So.
And you have done Ironman 5 times.
I have, yes. So I was an athlete in high school. I hurt my back pretty bad lifting in high school between my junior and senior year. And then it was bad for a while. In my mid-20s, I had to have spinal surgery. So I had to have spinal surgery. I thought I might never run again. And so when I went to my neurosurgeon after the surgery, he made a little snafu, kind of tore my dura, ended up being a little longer recovery than anticipated. But he told me, okay, Jason, no heavy lifting, so no squatting, and running's probably not a great idea, but as long as your body can handle it, you can do anything. So all I heard, Carmen, was anything that your body can handle, you can do. So I started off with running. I started off with lifting. Of course. And then my friend challenged me to do a half marathon, and then it was a MS tour to raise money for multiple sclerosis, a 150-mile bike ride over 2 days. And then same friend challenged me to do a mini triathlon. And so I did that. And then that was a lot of fun. And I got really hooked. And a year from then, I ended up doing my first Ironman. And then I did 4 more and about 20 halves. So I got pretty, yeah.
And that was before you got into coaching?
Yes. That was all just process and self-mastery, right? Just finding something you love and just kept turning the different dials as you learn about it. I had swam growing up, not competitively, but I was a lifeguard by the time I was 15. And so when the first day I went and joined I think it was an LA Fitness or a gym, whatever. I went and got in the pool and swam 50 yards and I thought I was going to die. I'm like, oh my God, how am I ever going to swim 2.4 miles or whatever the distance was for that first triathlon? It was really a big obstacle at the moment. So.
But then you got over that.
Eventually, yeah, you just figure out a way, right? And you're really like anything you start in life. Like we didn't know how to walk, right? Imagine if we all just said, hey, that guy's not like my sons didn't walk. Oh, that guy's not a walker. Like, no, that's optional. He has to get up and walk at some point. So it was the same with triathlon. So actually, thanks for asking about that, because I use that a lot to remind myself on new journeys and being uncomfortable and not knowing.
Yes.
That's really the sign of growth, right? Like when it gets real uncomfortable, you just have to kind of tell yourself, okay, I've been here with other stuff, just kind of power through. So
feeling comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
Right. A boss said to me for a lot of years, but I didn't really internalize it until this recent part of my journey, so.
And now you work with leaders and athletes. How do you help them to achieve their goals and improve their performance?
Again, it's just teaching them what I've learned, really, or just helping them work through the things I've learned. Like knowing that a lot of people really aren't very kind to themselves. They don't take time to celebrate successes, even small successes, right? They don't take time to be grateful for things. They don't take time to set their intentions. So really helping leaders recognize those patterns in themselves so they can show up better for everyone around them has really been one of the big things I've noticed with the people I've been coaching.
So it's about become aware of your behaviors and of your thoughts and how you experience your life, and then what you need to change. Yes,
that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. You notice the patterns, right? Like you have certain patterns that tend to show up over and over again. Like if you have a trigger when someone says something, or you feel like, hey, so-and-so leader is going to ask you to do something, and every time they ask you, it makes you feel resistance, like kind of notice internal resistance, and try to change that story, right? Try to show up with a different intention. Even giving them different energy is a way to heal a lot of relationships. So I think don't you were sharing with me prior to the podcast that you were doing some energy healing yourself, right?
So awareness is the first step when we want to change something in our lives.
Yes. I think awareness and a willingness to change.
And willingness, yes. Willingness is very important.
Yes.
And our mindset is as well very important, and how we feed our mind, right?
Yes. Very, very. Like reading what you read, the words you use, language is critical. And then what you're feeding your mind is critical too. Like if you have an opportunity to read, or I'm not saying binge watching your favorite show is bad necessarily, but it's not really extending your thoughts beyond your already known beliefs, right? You're not challenging yourself to learn more. It's like athletics. I think you have to work out your mind the same way that you work out your body. You have to feed it good stuff. So.
And why is the mindset so important? Some people think, oh, but this is how I am and I'm not going to change, or they think there is not much difference in the mindset. What can you say to those people? How can you highlight the importance of the mindset?
No, thank you. That's a beautiful question. I think it's critical, right? I don't believe that people aren't one way. Like, we're always growing and changing. I mean, there's the fixed mindset. That was actually something that unlocked my mindset and explained my whole entire childhood to me. I realized maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I read Carol Dweck's Mindset and realized in some things I had a very fixed mindset where I believed I was what I was. Right? Meaning that if I was shy, then I was destined to be shy. If I was someone who was not the, back to kind of shy, but like if I went and I'm better one-on-one with people versus in a big group, or just those stories I was telling myself. And I realized that was all just tied to stories and patterns I had developed over the years from being labeled like, hey, Jason's a great student, Jason's smart, Jason's kind, Jason's polite. And all those labels versus like being praised for the action, really, really kind of set off a light bulb for me when I was like, whoa, that's huge. Like all of a sudden, like that explains why I was so hard on myself for my grades, even though they're important, but they don't really matter. It depends on how you take the information and use it, right? So knowing that your mindset isn't fixed is critical for people. Like whatever your situation is today, all you have to do is change it. Decide that you want to change it, and you can start changing it.
So we can change our mind set, and what you're saying also is that we have labels that create our identity of or our self-image, right?
Yes, we have patterns and labels and things that stories that you tell yourself, stories that just keep running like a loop every day. So.
And we can change those labels. We can change those the image that we have about ourselves. All and the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yes, and most people, myself included, because it's a universal thing. Mm-hmm. Everyone has two fears. You have a fear of failure, and then you have a fear that if you fail, then you won't be loved.
Fear of failure, and the other fear is what?
Fear is that if you fail or you're not enough, that you won't be loved. So fear of failure, yes. Not being loved. So, I mean, they're universal wherever you're from, whoever you are, no matter how successful you are. I mean, I watched an interview not long ago with a very famous actor who's getting up there in years now, but he's, been super, super successful, a household name. And he was talking about a new script he was writing. He was just talking about how, hey, this is garbage and this is terrible. And he's like throwing papers and no one's even going to buy this. I'm probably washed up, as he's sitting in his mansion at his great desk with trophies and plaques and awards, behind him. But that fear doesn't go away. So it's really up to us to, one, like you said, to be aware that it's there, mm-hmm. and just to ignore it, just to like kind of minimize it, make it smaller, push it away, not listen to it.
So we realize that we have this fear and just keep going with the fear.
Well, you can acknowledge that the fear is
there. Or
there.
Acknowledge, yeah.
I'm not saying just like put it on a positive face and just pretend like.
Yes.
But just kind of acknowledge that it's there. Be okay with it. Be like, hey, I release you. Like, hey, you're there. Thank you for being there, for showing up to protect me or whatever you're trying to do. But mm-hmm. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm going to go with courage, or I'm going to go with being bold, or I'm going to go with something else that suits me now. That's not counterproductive to whatever it is your dream is that you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was like years ago, and in work I had to go to meetings, and I felt so much fear of speaking at the meeting or in public. I had every time I had to go to a meeting and speak, I would be sweating and so nervous. My heart was beating so fast. And then when I started, learning about coaching and changing the mindset and dealing with your fears, I started to acknowledge my fear, and instead of trying to get rid of the fear, just accept the fear. Okay, I have this feeling, and it's okay to feel the fear, and it's fine. And once I acknowledged the fear and I was okay with that, then the fear started to disappear. and,
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
and then I was able to be, to go at meetings and speak openly and express my opinions. And
That's good. And look at you now. You're doing your own podcast, and
yes,
you're very comfortable. That's amazing.
yeah, I
So
done public speaking as well. Yeah, so that helped me a lot.
that's great. So you're a good example for anyone who believes that they can't change.
Yes, yes. And you were talking about this, how we set our stories, we tell ourselves stories, how we create our own identity with these labels. And can you talk more about this and how they become beliefs, and how the beliefs condition our life and our behaviors and actions and our results eventually?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. So, like for example, if someone's thinking that, okay, like I was using myself as an example, I'm shy, and I get or the stories you tell, I get nervous when I have to speak to people, or I'm not good enough, or whatever that label might be. Then you don't see the opportunities, right? You just get stuck, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain just sees what you tell it to see. So if you're telling it you're not good enough, if you tell it you're not smart enough, or you're not good enough to go pursue being a podcaster, being whatever it is, a triathlete, being a coach, being a CEO, being whatever that dream looks like to you,
Mm-hmm.
then your brain will stop looking for it, and you'll literally fulfill your prophecy. You'll go into like a scarcity mindset. You'll kind of play smaller, and you won't show up for yourself. And so those labels are, in my estimation, they're really dangerous, and this is, I think, a big part of me embracing being a coach is something I've always been. I've always been a leader. I've always been, captain of my teams, and always elected by others. I never really feel like I really stepped up and embraced that role. And now having two boys, I feel like ultimately I have to change that. You have to teach them a growth mindset. You have to tell them, hey, great job trying to do X, or asking them, how many times did you get something wrong today? Or how many times did you try something that was hard and that you might have struggled at? And then asking them what their goals are, and really helping them start to get comfortable being uncomfortable, like we were talking about. But those labels can just the words we use, right? Like some of the individuals I've coached, when they show up and they'll say, oh man, I really should have done that. Or man, I was going to get up this morning. I wish I would have done that. Or I should have done better today. Or man, if I would just do that. And it's just simple phrases like that, and putting yourself down over and over again. It really ends up, like I'm saying, being a self-fulfilling prophecy, where they don't move forward. They don't see, like, their reticular activating system, their brain doesn't see what's right there in front of them, the possibilities, the opportunities, the chances for growth, right? So is that your question?
Yeah, so it's very important how you're saying that it's very important how we talk to ourselves.
Very,
right?
Extremely important. Yes, extremely important.
How people can, because I think this lots of people do that, or everyone does that sometimes, like talking to ourselves in a not very nice way.
We all do, and I'm not above it. Like I was doing it earlier today. Like I was telling my wife something about like this big transition I'm going through, right? From being in corporate America, in an amazing organization, then going out and really looking to make a bigger impact. Like once I realized what I liked about recruitment
Mm-hmm.
and was the fact connecting with people like you, like just having a conversation, really getting to know someone deeply,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully changing their day for the better, right? Hopefully leaving something positive with them. And so earlier today, I was like, oh man, this is so much. It's to tell my wife, and she's like, listen, stop it right now. She's like, you know, you're on me to do X, Y, and Z, and you're pushing me to be better, and you're pushing the boys to be better, and everyone around you is better because of conversations you have. She's like, so I was doing the same thing. I was literally playing small this morning, a couple hours ago, sitting there on my steps, and my wife is like, knock it off now. I was like, thank you. I needed that coach, right? Then she gets mad at me because I tell her she'd be a great coach too. So.
Mm-hmm. And how can people change that? How can people um, change the way they talk to themselves? What advice would you give to people who realize that they talk to themselves in a negative way and they want to be nicer to themselves because they realize that that's not helping them to live the life they want to live and to be happier?
Well, two immediate exercises come to mind. And there's a number of ways depending on what's going on with that person. I don't think there's not a magic pill. Like there's just not one thing you do. But one great exercise is to write down 50 amazing things you've done in your life. Like take 30 minutes, an hour, and just write down all the big and small things you've accomplished. Even if that's, being a good son, being a good father, whatever those things are, and just remind yourself of how awesome you are. That's one. And then another one that I use a lot with coaching is I'll have people write down their disempowering beliefs, like the things that they say often that aren't helping the cause, and then empowering beliefs. And then we'll try to replace some of the disempowering beliefs with an empowering belief, right? Like, man, I have to, like a disempowering example would be, man, I have to write that ebook, or I have to go home and work on this, or I have to go work out. Just change it to, I'm so blessed to get to do this. I'm so blessed to have time to work out and have a healthy body, or I'm so blessed or excited to write this book. I mean, that's how I wrote the ebook that I wrote. It was literally changed my mind after I announced that I would be putting it out there. Becoming, like, I didn't even have a title other than I was thinking Becoming Limitless. Okay, it's COVID, there's so much uncertainty. And by just saying, I'm excited to do this, it made it super easy to write it because I really did have fun. Like, it just changed how I felt about it. So.
I like that, and I think I need to do that because I'm very busy, and I have goals for myself to do things, and some of the things I want to do is like write ebooks or create courses, and sometimes it's like, oh, but I have so many things to do, and I put I tell myself excuses. So I need to do that exercise that you just said and say, oh, I'm so blessed that I have this knowledge I can share with people, change the.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So there's something, right? So I'll challenge you and I'll say the way that, if you're up for it, can I challenge you?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're serious about your ebook, all you have to do is put it out in your podcast. My ebook is coming out X date, October 15th, November 1st, whatever your date is. And once you put that out, then it's going to get done.
Yeah, I have to put a deadline.
No, like I when I announced mine, it was on a Sunday.
Yes.
And it was due by Friday, the next Friday, like 5 days later.
Oh, wow. You finished that in 5 days?
In 5 days. So that was it. I mean, the ideas are there. Like I had probably another 20 pages that I could have written, but I just wanted to be, just with all the uncertainty, I just really want to provide people with some certainty in these times.
Yes.
Right? What you're doing by having people on and interviewing folks like myself, just trying to spread some positivity, give people options, let them know maybe this isn't like the end of anything. It's the beginning of something, and it could be great depending on what you believe. So.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to set a date. I'm going to say, I'm going to have my ebook published by next Sunday, the 13th.
By the 13th? All right.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yeah,
Everyone,
that's huge.
the Flower of Life podcast. Carmen just announced that she will have an ebook ready for you by 9/13. That's,
Yes.
thank you for that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you for the challenge.
Very cool. I'm writing it down so I make sure I can follow up and get my copy. So
Yes. I'll send you will be the first one to get a copy.
awesome. And I'll read it right away. I promise. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for that. And one a big part of what you do, and I think this is something that you have been living as a part of you, of who you are, is motivate yourself, and you also motivate your clients. How do you motivate yourself? How do you empower yourself to achieve all the things that you have achieved, like your 5-time Ironman, become a leader, a recruitment leader, become a peak performance coach, helping leaders and athletes to achieve their goals, to improve their performance, to improve their careers, their finances. I think sometimes we know what we need to do,
Yeah.
but we don't have the motivation or the drive. And I think motivation is a big thing, and is key. So how do you motivate yourself to achieve all the things that you have achieved, and how do you motivate your clients?
Well, I think the first thing for motivation won't last, right? Like you can get excited about something, say, oh, I'm going to do this, and that wears off pretty fast. So you need some massive leverage on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And for me, in the past, you can have different kinds of leverage, right? Like when I was doing Ironman, it was literally to prove to myself that I was still an athlete. Right, because that was something that a label that I was proud to carry, of being an athlete in high school. Felt like I've been athletic my whole life, and then not having that, when you have the opportunity, when that's gone for a while, like when I wasn't able to really walk or sit down or drive because I couldn't feel my right leg, and I had shooting pain from my disc fragment. Like I had a 10 millimeter disc fragment, and so that pain and that creates so much leverage for me, that when I had the opportunity to go ride, I knew it was an opportunity. And you start small too. Like I didn't start doing an Ironman. I started with a mini sprint, and I was joking around. I saw the guy I was talking about earlier. Like I haven't seen him much in the last 11 or 12 years. We both have families. We kind of grew apart a little bit. But he literally had me sign up for our first half sprint, which was like a 400-yard swim, a 8-mile bike ride, and like a 2-mile run. And we thought we were like the bomb, like such badasses afterwards. Like we went out and we had burgers and fries and beers, and we definitely ate twice as many calories at the sitting after the race as we used during the race, because the race probably took like 45 minutes, an hour or something. Like it was not that hard, but it was just that excitement of taking that first step. So like if you're thinking, oh, I want to do a triathlon, why don't you start with something smaller and then put a race on the calendar? That's really what it is. It's really putting the skin in the game to do it, and then being willing to be bad at it. Like I was literally the worst recruiter in the world when I started, not joking. Like we could probably have a contest and I'd be in the bottom 5% when I started, because I was a medical illustrator. That's what I'm trained as. So I used to do medical legal exhibits. I was going to go back to school after I had my back surgery to be a physical therapist, because I wanted to give others the gift of not going through what I went through. But I felt like that was a very parallel move for me at the time, just because I would take out another $100,000 and some in loans. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem smart. I've been a poor artist for the last 12 years. That's probably not, that's not a way to have a family and take care of them. So because of that, I went and I took an opportunity to help help therapists, physical therapists in particular, find better opportunities. And so I literally would just call into facilities and try to have a conversation with people. And I was really, really bad. But if you keep doing it over and over again, and then you model the people around you that are good, you'll start getting better at it. Like, it'll take time, but you'll start getting better at it. Like, one of the managers used to say to me, Jason, you sound like you're reading a script. And I look at him like, dude, I am reading the script. He's like, why? I'm like, because the script has psychology behind it. And I want to leave like a first style message, and then a second message, and then a third message. And I want them to be consistent. I want them to land a certain way. I want them to be received with, I'm here to serve and help. But it was literally, I am reading until I memorize it, right? So is that a clear answer? So to kind of break back down, I'd say put skin in the game, which means that if it's a race or it's getting a certificate, just put it on your calendar and make it real. Pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pay for it as soon as you put and make sure it's enough. Like, if you just put a little bit, like if you pay, I'm going to pay $20 or $30, that stuff goes away. When it starts getting uncomfortable, that's when change happens.
Yes. And for example, for people who want to start, like with the lockdown, lots of people have been like, maybe not going to the gym anymore because the gyms were closed. They stopped maybe they had their exercise routine, but they stopped, and now they find difficult to start. And in some places, the gyms are still closed, and how they can start or maybe they have never done exercise and they just realize that they need to do exercise. How they can motivate themselves to start, exercising, moving, and
that's a great question.
get motivation to have a more healthy lifestyle, because now I think more people are maybe more aware of how important is health, and health is wealth. And
yes.
And people want to look at natural ways to improve their immune system and to be healthy and happier. And I think more people are becoming more aware of how important is health in your life, and how and maybe not so many people have been having healthy lifestyle or healthy habits, and they don't know how to start. What advice would you give them to become more motivated? Or
that's a beautiful question, and a really, really important one. If we could solve that here today on this show, then we'll be all over the news, all over the world. We'll have everything. So, but I would say it would start with leverage, right? Like, at the beginning of all this craziness, when we weren't able to go to the gym and to see my kids weren't able to see their friends and to go places, like, my wife and I just decided, like, hey, we're going to be COVID fit. We literally said, we're going to be COVID fit. We got like healthy greens. It's like 2 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruit that we just put into a shake every day for the boys, because they won't really eat their, vegetables. And so it just starts with that mindset of, hey, we're going to be fit. And then the why, right? Like, we're going to be fit because what if something happened to us? Like, my boys, I don't really feel they're in danger with kind of the statistics that you see, not to go into that too much, but just, I don't feel like they're really at risk, where we're not around any of our grandparents. Like, unfortunately, we don't have our parents here. Like, mine are up north in America, then hers are in South America and Ecuador. So we're not at risk of like getting someone else sick in that sense for family. But just having that leverage of knowing that, hey, if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be here to take care of my kids, or maybe my future grandkids, or whatever that line looks like, right? And you have to do it for yourself. Like, you'll feel better, you'll respond better, you'll have more energy to do your dreams, to be there for the people that you love. Like, for me, I don't know how to explain this, but I look at it as a personal responsibility. Like, I've always used the analogy of like being a lifeguard. If someone's drowning, like I did it back when I was like hand to hand, where you grab people around the chest and then you drag them out of the water, or if you can't get their chest, you grab them by the hair, or whatever that looks like. before they made you use the buoys and stuff. It was a long time ago, 30 some years ago. And when I was doing that, one of my first experiences, I was trying to save a guy that was like 40 or 50 pounds bigger than I was in a pool. It was an exercise, but it was the exercise of going through the training. And he was a big football player, and he literally like locked my arm, and he was pulling me down hard, and I had to use the block they taught me and push him away. And that's always, I was 15, and that's resonated with me for 30 years, that knowledge that I have to save myself before I can save someone else or help someone else has always been kind of a code that I live by. And it's not a selfish thing. I think it's the responsible thing. I feel like a higher power, God, whoever you believe in, give us these awesome bodies, these vehicles for ourselves, and we have to take care of them to be able to serve those around us that we love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's about is finding your why, your purpose too, and love yourself, right?
Yes. And it's not easy. We all have the two fears I talked about, and we all have doubts, and they pop up every day. It's what our brains are. We're 2,000-year-old lizard brains are looking for fight or flight in every single situation, and it's not really there anymore. Like, we're not at risk. So.
What is the impact that you want to make in the world, Jason?
I love that question. A huge impact. I always felt like my job was to, or my role was to be an example for others and to live my best life. And then I realized that was really playing small. Like, my wife and I said, hey, when we retire, we're going to do mission trips. We're going to help underprivileged children. And then every time I'd go see my financial advisor, my retirement kept moving further and further back. And I was like, well, I really want to do this in this lifetime. I only get to do this once. And so that was one of the big changes over the holidays, over the Christmas holidays. I was speaking with my wife, and I was like, honey, what are the things that you want to do? Because she has all these ideas, and I told her some of mine, and we kind of just exchanged them. We just picked a few. We picked a few things that by doing what we're doing now, it's going to immediately impact the world. And we're not doing it in a big way yet, but like, every $10 we make, $1 goes out to there. So as that grows, I want to make a huge impact. The answer is easily, I want to make a huge impact. Even if I change one person I coach's life, and then they go on to make a bigger impact, it's just exponential what good you can do once you realize what your mission is.
It's important to know your mission, right? What your mission is in life, because otherwise you're like, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, I had that. That was me for 45 years. Like, I have had success in multiple careers, but if you ask me any point from when I was a young kid until maybe November of last year, hey, Jason, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. Like, happy, in love? I don't know. Right? I didn't know. It wasn't the time for me to know, I guess. Like, it hadn't crossed my path. It hadn't been my privilege to learn about it yet. And now that I have, it's like, I'm just so ramped up. I'm getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, study in the morning, study at night, learn all day, work in between, work out, and other times, like, just kind of, it's awesome. Like, once you're kind of aligned, everything just starts to flow a lot easier.
And what helped you to get that alignment, to find that insight, to realize your mission?
It was a coach. It was my first coach really pushing me. And he said to me, like, I was telling him, oh, I know this COO of this company, and she used to be my mentor, and this other owner it got me into recruitment. So I would tell him what I knew with the little world I was in Orlando. Because I was at that point, when I first started talking to him, I just thought I needed a change of scenery, or maybe a different kind of recruitment, because I really do love connecting and helping people. So I'm like, well, I'm good at it. It'd be kind of silly to leave it. But then when he kind of pushed me and told me, Jason, you don't know anything. Like, dude, you're sorry, but you don't know anything. Like, you're just limiting yourself to this little area. And so he gave me a couple of exercises of calling other professionals that maybe went to my university or were in fields I was interested in, and just start the search. Like basically he almost became my guidance counselor, right? Like you have in high school where he's like, hey, go check these things out. And then I kept checking them out. And the more and more I did, the more and more I realized that's not where I wanted to be. And I started gravitating towards learning more about what he was doing and connected with people. Did the same exercise myself without him telling me, going out and connecting with successful coaches I found on LinkedIn. And I had 2 or 3 amazing conversations where I can say that those people really solidified my choice, and I still stay in touch with them. But I mean, it's just knowing that, hey, if you're a connector or you are whatever, you're really good at it and that makes you happy, then that's what you should be doing. So,
so it's about trying different things and see what gives you energy and what makes you feel more energized, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, you can get stuck in, I mean, like I said, before I realized what the difference was between a fixed and growth mindset, I would say that I was for years just like, I had so many hobbies that I would just work to support my hobbies and my family. But like whether it was Ironman or painting or swing dancing or whatever that hobby was, I just worked, did my best, made sure I was successful, and then got out to do something else. Now there's not something else. Like, yes, I still have hobbies, but there's something else I want to learn about. It's just, how do I get better? Like, how can I be a better coach? Like, what else can I learn? Like when you were talking about the fears and stuff earlier, I thought about a book called Taming Your Gremlins that a coach turned me on to. And it's literally about like taking that little voice and naming it, like Mr. Know-It-All or Miss Busybody or whatever that is, right? And it's just, it makes that fear smaller. Because when you start naming it and you start talking to it, be like, yeah, leave me alone, like not today, right? So
I'm not listening to you.
yeah, I'm not listening to you, not today. One of the women I mentor in recruitment, every time she'd come talk to me, if she ever sees it, she'll laugh, because if she would come to me and be like, Jason, I had an awesome day today, boss, awesome day. And then that one submittal fell apart. Or I had an awesome day. I think this deal is going to go through. I think I'm going to get Mary the job, but I'm not, I don't know. And I'd be like literally whatever she said good, it was immediately followed by a bad. And I just asked her, I'm like, do you see what you're doing? And she's like, what? I'm like, every time that you say something good and positive and you're getting momentum, you immediately pull back and tell me the bad about it. And she's like, no, I didn't know I was doing that. I'm like, do you have a middle name? And she's like, yeah, it's Maria. I'm like, okay, every time that the bad comes up, I want you to turn to Maria and tell her to shut the F up. Like, shut up. And it actually was really cool because it worked, and she's gained a lot of momentum, and she's been more, I mean, I'm sure it still pops up for her, but now that she has a name for that negative, like, hey, that's not going to work, she turn around and be like, hey, not now, right?
Yes. How can having a coach can have an impact in your life? Because I know some people don't really know what coaching is yet, even though now more people are talking about coaching, but still people don't see the value of coaching, and they think that they can find things by themselves. So how can you tell people that having a coach really makes a difference in your life? And
I think
you tell stories about your clients or your own personal experience by having your own coaches. And
I think it's huge. Like for me, I probably knew I didn't want to continue being a medical illustrator after 3 or 4 years of being in the field, maybe 5 tops, but I did it for almost 11 or 12. And what a coach did for me was really ask me the hard questions. It's not about what, like, of course anybody can go out and figure it out on their own, but it might take them decades to do it. Right? Like having someone that really cares about you and having someone that like having your own fan to say, yes, you can do this. You got this. Like when your family's telling you, no, that's crazy. Like I had a boss tell me when I told her that I was leaving, and she's like, are you sure you want to leave during COVID? Like, you did all this work, like you have family. Like every like fear that I would have, like immediately came up. But a coach would tell you, no, this is the opportunity. Like, this is what you want, right? And then just ask you questions, create space for you to talk. I just think a coach gives you an opportunity to cut down that journey by multitudes, right? Like, I probably would have had a 15-year coaching career at this point if I would have had a coach before. I mean, it wasn't meant to be, but literally just, it makes no sense not to if you're able to. So,
and a coach, I think also that they can see the potential in yourself, in you, that you don't see yourself.
of course, and they can recognize patterns you don't see, and they can recognize the talk, the words you use. It's again, it's holding that space for someone and really, really investing in them because you want for the best. Like the different clients I have, like some just want an accountability person. Like someone want them just to text them in the morning and be like, hey, did you get up today? Like, did you hit your 5 a.m. workout or whatever that is, right? Like, and that's what they want now. But then as they get more self-confidence, I believe that's going to change to go deeper on what they really want. So it's a journey. It just it's like having a guide on your journey, a personal guide to be like, hey, great job, Carmen. So you're writing your ebook next week. That's cool.
Yes, you were doing that with me.
Like that's why you need a coach, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
I mean, I actually, when I got done having my first coach and, you know, I said I stopped my MBA and I paid for the coaching courses and then I had a coach, I started telling myself the same story. I can't afford this. This is going to be too expensive. And then I went and found a way to spend basically what I would have spent on a car on coaching recently. And it's been the best decision I've ever made. Like, is it a little uncomfortable? Yeah. But like, I found a way to go to college, right? Like,
Yes.
I found to have student loans and go to college. I found a way to have a house. Like, for me, if it gives me back the returns to really help change the world like I want to and set a different legacy for my boys, then it's worth 10 or 50 or 100 times whatever it costs me. Even at times, I still have that little scarcity guy in the background saying, are you crazy? You can't spend that on coaching right now. Like, it's COVID. What are you doing? Yeah. And no, this is 100% the best thing I can do, is to model the best people, to put myself in situations where you're in proximity with like-minded people like yourself. Like, we came together for a reason, right? Like, you're in Ireland, I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
So something put us here together. So.
And a coach helped you to change your mindset, to have a more positive mindset, to be more positive, to see things from different perspective, to achieve your goals, improve your performance, and there's a coach could help you with any of your goals, your personal or professional goals as well.
Yeah, and there's so many specialized coaches out there. Like, and it's not, some of it's the readiness. Like, my wife and I, like, we have an amazing marriage, but like any marriage, it has ups and downs, right? And I would say my Ironman, actually, me quitting doing Ironman was a blessing. It gave me personal power. It gave me knowledge that I could accomplish pretty much anything I put my mind to. Maybe not being a brain surgeon or being an astronaut, but pretty much anything, I feel, because of the process mastery and the self-mastery it takes and the discipline. But it almost, because I was so committed to that goal, it almost cost me my marriage. Like, she was literally, I went swimming one day and I came back and she's on the beach and she's like, Jason, what's an iron widow? And I look around, there's only one other woman on the beach. It was another, you know, probably disenchanted wife who is also probably really lonely that her husband was always training. And I was like, oh, that lady. But that lady put that in my wife's mind because it gave her the label of what was happening. And when I finally realized what was happening, it was almost too late. And so I've been trying to make up for that for the last 3 or 4 years. And finally, because of coaching, it's changed all the patterns in our marriage. And it's not because I'm coaching her, it's just because I'm sharing what I'm learning. And then, like, she'll go away and she'll come back to me and say, that is what I've been doing. And it's really been fun. Like, I've had the opportunity to I know you're not supposed to coach your spouse, but I've indirectly coached her a lot, and it's changed everything. So
what is the key to, what would you say is a key to a successful and happy marriage?
I think it's being the other, well, one, the best advice that one of her uncles gave us was to always treat your spouse like they're your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? So you make sure you set time aside for each other, like even, especially if you have kids, especially during these times, like even going for a walk, like time where you can just talk as a couple versus talking as a mom or a dad. But recently, I'd say another kind of distinction that I've had for myself is to really make sure the other person is achieving their goals, right? Like making sure that they're going after their dreams, making sure that they're not just worried about the kids and waiting for the kids to leave so they can start their life again, but really being supportive, even if you always aren't in alignment with what that might mean for the family, but really supporting the other to go after their goals, like being their biggest fan.
Oh, that's very beautiful. Yeah, I think
Thank
that's
you.
something that sometimes we forget. We focus on our goals and we maybe forget to support the other
Guilty all the time. Guilty.
to achieve their goals, and that they have goals as well. And
Yes, so guilty. So guilty. I mean, I am an achiever. That's just my makeup. Like once I finish something, I'm like, okay, what's next? And I
yeah,
don't have time to celebrate. But really, this shift in mindset and the things I've learned have slowed me down to appreciate stuff. So
that's very nice. What you're offering a complimentary coaching session to our listeners.
I am
So,
definitely.
tell us about that session. How can people, what they need to do to get that, and what they can get from that?
Okay, so thank you for asking, or thank you for letting me share. So anyone that's listening or anyone that sees this, those free complimentary coaching session, there'll be a link, an Acuity link, where you can go and schedule your free hour with me. It'll just be a conversation about what your goals and dreams are and what you're looking to accomplish. And if it's a good fit, we'll figure out a way to work together. If not, if it's something I can't help with, then I'll make sure I'll get you to one of my peers that are, maybe more in line with what you're looking for. But if you're looking to change how you're showing up, if you're looking to change how you're going after your dreams or your health or any of those things, I'd love to have a conversation. I'd be honored to have a conversation with you. Or you could also go to my website, which is just bemorecoaching.com, which is letter B and then more, MORE, coaching.com. It's a free hour session with me. And like I said, if it's something I can help you with, I'd be honored to, and we'll start there.
And where people can find you? They can find you on your website, and are you also in Facebook, Instagram?
I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my website that I just mentioned. You can find me on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram, but I still have to change it. It's still under Iron Sipple, so it's not under my coaching. So that won't be helpful.
And do you have a YouTube channel?
I do not.
Not yet.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on making impact and doing things, and that maybe in the future.
Thank you very much, Jason. Is there anything else? Anything you want to add? You want to share with our listeners?
No. I'd like to tell your listeners that this has been, and this is fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and to get to know you a little better and to share my passion with the world and my goals and my vision. It's been really fun. It's been a lot more. I have never been on a podcast before, so this has been a great first experience. And I thank you for that.
I've been honored to have you here, Jason. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think you share lots of very interesting insights and tips and advice to our listeners to improve their life. And in the description of the podcast and in the video, you will find the Jason contact details, the link to download his ebook, and the link to book the 60 minutes complimentary session. And remember, it is your choice to live your life in your terms, to make your own decisions, look for solutions and opportunities, and feed your mind with empowering messages. For more inspirational conversations, check our website, floweroflifepodcast.com.
Awesome.